Hello, hello. My name is Maddie Walsh, and welcome to the very first episode of Life as Is. This is a podcast that will meet you where you are at and offer bite-sized conversations about self-improvement and life in general. All right, welcome to whoever's listening to this, probably not a lot of people right now, to episode 1 of Life as Is. I still can't believe I'm creating a podcast. Younger me would absolutely eat this up right now, but adult me is admittedly quite nauseous at just the idea of what I'm doing. A little bit about me. I'm 26 years old. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I am someone who is very passionate about all things self-development, self-improvement, life philosophy, so on and so forth. So I am creating this podcast to ideally have bite-sized conversations, small conversations about how to better our own lives and water our own grass. And I chose the name Life as Is because I want everything that I do to come from a place of kind of radical acceptance. So accepting exactly where you are right now, your life circumstances and everything that comes with that, your life as it is right now, and then figuring out how to move forward from there. So at the very least, this will be sort of a documentation of my journey as I move through life and grow as a person. And at best, I would like this to be a safe space for a community to have conversations on how to think better and feel better and do better and all the things. Also, disclaimer, I do not know the first thing about hosting a podcast, but I am just going to start and see where it goes because 1, this is something that I want to do, and 2, why not? Why not? And with that being said, let's get into it. So on this very first episode, I wanted to talk about courage. And I thought this was very fitting for the first episode of this podcast because I feel like I am exercising a lot of courage in launching this thing. So we're going to talk about courage, what it is, what some benefits are of exercising courage in your own life, and then lastly, the 3-step method that I personally use when I need some courage in my own life. Okay, so courage, what is it? I thought we'd start with a quote. I'm not entirely sure where it originated. It's been said over and over by so many people at this point, and I think it's just kind of a widely used quote now. But it reads, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." Whew. I'll read it again. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And what I get from that is that courage is not fearlessness. When we think of courage, we often think of bravery, doing something big, taking a leap, taking a risk, but a lot of times we don't factor in the fear that inevitably comes with it. We assume that courageous people or people who are practicing courage have this ability to possess no fear and just be a complete badass with no hesitation or reservation, but that is not true. And what I like about this quote is that it confirms for us that courage is not necessarily fearlessness, but rather doing the scary thing even when we are scared. Like the quote says, the triumph over fear. And I think that's really special because it shows us that courage is so much more accessible than we think if we are just willing to lean into whatever fear that is. It's not some special sauce that some people have and some people don't. It all depends on the linchpin and the deciding factor as to whether courage kind of engages or whether it doesn't. That depends on the willingness to act and do anyway, regardless of how we might feel. And I do feel like exercising courage in your life is one of the keys to a rich and full life. And that kind of leads me into the second point that I want to make, which is to explain some of the benefits of exercising courage in our lives. And the first one I want to talk about is freedom. One of the most common fears that I see in others and also experience on my own end is the fear of being seen or known, kind of being exposed. And my apprehension and severe discomfort about this podcast is actually a really good example of that, because as I've gotten older, I've developed more and more of a fear of being perceived. Like if I share parts of my life with others or express myself or show people what I'm passionate about, that leaves room for rejection and judgment, and that's scary. Scratch that. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. Paralyzing, if you will. I think we obsess over the fear of being seen and judged so much more than we should, myself included. It occupies so much more of our time and our brain space and our energy than we think, and it dictates our decision making way too often. So with that being said, pushing through that particular fear, whatever it is, and exercising courage brings so much freedom into our lives. Doing the thing anyway opens up a world of possibilities. You get to taste living without the crippling anxiety of constantly worrying about what other people are thinking or how you are being seen from another person's point of view. You will experience the freedom to live your life how you want it, freedom to go for the things that you desire, because you will learn over time that what other people think doesn't really matter, and it shouldn't be the driving force of the life that you live. The only person that can really stop you is you. And the inverse of that, which I think is so inspiring, is the only person that can really give you permission to, insert cheesy quote here, chase your dreams, is also you. So exercising courage brings freedom. The second benefit of exercising courage that I want to talk about is joy. And I think this one is a little bit simpler and more obvious, but it's often overlooked. There is a reason that you want to do the thing that you want to do, the thing that you are afraid of and need to practice a little courage to be able to do. It could be, for me, starting a podcast. For you, it could be having a hard conversation with a friend, or quitting a job, starting a business, changing your hair, etc. It could be anything. There's a reason why you want to do it. There's something on the other side that's going to benefit you. And so pushing through the fear that you have, overcoming that adversity, unlocks the joy on the other side. Actually stepping into the thing that you want instead of the thing that feels comfortable and safe and includes no fear, right? Requires no courage, will bring you joy, will unlock joy for you, because you will truly be doing something that you want. And who doesn't want to experience more joy in their life? Okay, the third and final benefit that I want to talk about, and obviously this is not an exhaustive list, but the third and final benefit to exercising courage is simply that you're going to get better at it. You are getting in the reps every single time you do something that scares you. And once you get better at it, you receive evidence from the universe that you can do this, that you did something scary and your life did not fall apart. This then spreads to other parts of your life, and you start becoming courageous in all these different facets, and it just snowballs from there. So you grow and you become a better you, and it's all because you practiced courage and you chose to do something scary. Okay, now that we've identified some benefits to exercising courage, freedom, joy, and we'll call it growth, I want to leave you, again, whoever is listening to this, with my personal 3-step process when it comes to practicing courage in my own life. Step 1 is me picking something that I want to do, but I'm hesitant about. And I get really specific about the fear that's holding me back. Not a general, I'm afraid that people will judge me, or I'm afraid of putting myself out there. I mean specific. I am afraid that I will struggle financially and not pay off my debt as fast as I want to. Or I am afraid that people will send these podcast episodes back and forth to each other, laughing at them, saying, who does she think she is? Get really intimate with the thing that you are afraid of. It's not the most fun thing to do, granted. And it's easier said than done, I know, but it's necessary, at least for me, as this always tends to make my fears less ominous and amorphous, and it turns them into something tangible, something that I can address. And just a reminder, I use this for realistic fears, like things that possibly could happen. This is not my analysis for, I'm afraid I'm going to have a heart attack during my presentation. That is unrealistic for most people, and you'll need a separate process to deal with that. One that ideally addresses anxiety, panic, kind of catastrophizing, instead of just good old fear. Okay, the next step, step 2, is even more fun than the first. It is to picture this fear that you've identified coming true. Picture it coming true. For me, in the example I gave in step 1, is I'll picture people laughing at my podcast. For you, it could be you picture yourself needing to leave your presentation early because you might have some anxiety or lightheadedness come up. Once you do step 2, which I understand is not fun, then we move on to the last step, which is step 3, and that is to decide on the action you're going to take. So I usually ask myself, given that information and that possibility, am I willing to do it anyway? Am I willing to try it anyway? Am I going to take the risk and the leap, or am I just going to avoid it and throw in the towel? And this really helps me because the answer is usually yes, that I do want to try it. If it matters to me and I want to do it, then the answer will be yes. And when it is yes, then I can move on and get to work, and I can work on mitigating bad outcomes when it comes to the fears that I can control. And when it comes to things I can't control, which is often other people, I can work on things like managing my expectations or acceptance and all that good stuff that gets me mentally ready for what's ahead. For example, regarding fears that you can control, if your fear is having anxiety during a big presentation, now you can actually focus on figuring out how to mitigate your anxiety and making the presentation as smooth and calming as possible. For fears you can't control, like other people laughing at you, now you can start to unpack why you care so much about what other people think and move towards a place where you let people say what they want and not let it get to you as much. Either way, you now have action to take, and you're not just sitting on this scary pile of impending doom. This is also a good way for you to figure out what it is that you really want. Because if you don't want to do it, the thing that you've chosen for this analysis, and all it does is stress you out and make you miserable, and the answer keeps coming up as no, I still don't want to do it, then maybe you are using your courage on the wrong things. So, number 1, pick your fear and get really specific, intimately specific. Number 2, picture it coming true. And number 3, deciding on your action from there. And I do want to say that this process is context specific, and it doesn't work for absolutely everything, everyone, in every situation, but it has served as a good framework for me when I really need to lock in and get serious about practicing courage and working through fear. So hopefully it will help you too, and you can use it when you need a little courage booster. Okay, we have reached the end of the episode, so here are some final thoughts. We talked about what courage is, we discussed some of the benefits to exercising courage, and I gave you a short framework to walk through if you are finding yourself in need of some courage. Practicing courage and going for things that you want, even though it is scary, will allow you to live a big, great, and full life, which I believe is kind of the point of all of this. So I hope this conversation inspired you to get out there and practice some courage this week. I'm not sure about this whole subscribe and like and comment and follow business, so I'm just going to say thank you for listening, whoever you are, and I will see you in the next episode.